Hi, everybody. This is Amy Kartheiser from Amy Kartheiser Design and Under the Same Sky Charity. Thank you for joining us here tonight. I am actually going to be live tonight with Jas Kirk, and if you have not met Jas, you are in for a treat. And if anyone has been in a IG Live with me before, you're going to know that I'm really, really bad about figuring out how to let people into my chats. So bear with me for a second. I think advocates for our mental health.
I'm really
And
well.
this
How are
is,
you?
oh,
Can you hear
there
me
she
okay?
is. Hi, Jas. How are you?
Thank you.
I can hear you. You
I
look gorgeous.
know.
I haven't seen you live about a year. I think it Mental Health Awareness Month last week that
Yeah,
we had
I
that
feel like
beautiful
time
walk together
flies. Like
down near
literally,
Lululemon in
time
Lincoln
has been
Park.
flying. So,
Yeah, no, I know. So I was just kind of saying hello to everyone, telling them how terrible I am at letting people into my Instagram lives, but here you are. And I'm just going to introduce myself and what I do really quick with Under the Same Sky. For those of you that have not been following me or don't know who I am, I started a charity called Under the Same Sky, and it is about normalizing the conversation around mental health and mental illness. And we also raise money for survivors of suicide. And the reason our money goes towards that, because being a suicide survivor myself, I know Jas, you are as well, that you find people don't know what to say and don't know what to do. So you are left grieving on your own, quite frankly. I always go use the example of if my brother had possibly died by cancer, maybe people would feel comfortable going, oh my gosh, what kind of cancer did he have? How long was he ill for? Was he in pain? And when it comes to suicide, people just don't know what to say, so they say nothing. So, raising awareness this month is not just to advocate for people who have mental health, but it's also to think about, others and people who have lost others to suicide. Think about the conversation that you can be having with others who have either lost people to suicide, suffer from mental illness, or think about your own mental illness as well. So, Jas, with that, I would love for you to give an introduction. I'm sure everyone on here knows who you are already, but I'd love for you to give an
well,
introduction to
hi
everyone and tell
guys.
them
I'm
about
Jas
your
Kirk.
journey and
I
what
am the
you're doing.
founder of Hunni Duoe. I started Hunni Duoe officially. This is coming into my third year, but I have been essentially holding this conversation for about 7 years now. Um, Honeydew means you are strong, gifted, and talented. It was an affirmation to myself. I always say it is an ode to me. Similar to Amy's story, I think gifting the world honeydew was essentially saying we really do need to talk about mental health and wellness more. And a lot of times I like to call that, I say mental wellness because I think it is just encompassing of every aspect of your life and it always translates. And once we're able to have comfortable conversations, once we're able to understand each individual, has their own story, though myself and Amy can share suicide stories. I think that a conversation I've always shared with people is that we never want to say we have depression or we have anxiety, but we can look at the next person and see that. So sitting down and really supporting organizations like Under the Same Sky or even just Honeydew and my everyday things that I do, it's about saying like it's here, it's prevalent, but that doesn't mean there's no peace for people to have and you can't find joy and happiness in this conversation. Because I think no matter what, if you say depression, it has a taboo to it. If you say anxiety, if you bring up suicide, it's still jaw dropping and like it's the elephant in the room that won't go away. But when we say, example with this walk where you're going to start, like if you just ask someone to go walking or talk like any and every day, like incorporating mental wellness makes you tap at and hold a conversation.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. You know, I found kind of what I didn't realize how much I needed to be out in nature and be outside for my own mental health until my brother died. And it literally started after he died. The only way for me to basically start my day and get through my day was to grab my headphones and head out. I live in Chicago, so I head out to Lake Michigan, and I would head straight for the lake, and I would have a really long walk, and I would actually talk to my brother, and
Yeah.
I talked to him out loud. And I was, I checked my shoulders to make sure people weren't too close to me, to make sure they could hear me. And interestingly enough, I was actually out of town this weekend. I went for a long walk, and I had a moment to myself walking back from where I was at, and I talked to my brother out loud the entire way home. And there's something about, not just it is for yourself, but just being out in nature,
Yeah.
what that does, like the immediate that you feel when you're outside. I mean, today in Chicago it's ridiculous and it's 40 and raining. I swear I saw snow today as well. But besides that, I think anyone who just goes for a stroll after dinner, or I get up before I even start my day. I go to Pilates in the morning. I get up an hour earlier to go for a walk outside before I even, because Pilates to me is like, then I'm off to work, So it's like I'm not having myself, but I do it with my own team. Like if we need to have through work, like I want to talk with one of them or brainstorm about a project together, I'll grab one or two of them and we'll go for a walk outside, because I find that you get your most creativity. It kind of quiets all the, outside noise. And by that, I know we've got a lot of traffic and congestion. I don't mean that kind of noise. I mean all the things going on in your head, and maybe it's negative self-talk, or you're unsure of what you're thinking about. And it's amazing
I
the
think
channels that
even
open up, right,
just
when you're with other people.
and I always say this as a movement meditation, like a lot of times people consider meditation only in the concept of like being completely still, eyes closed, palms up. And I've had like meditation sessions with meditation teachers who are like,
Right.
do what makes you comfortable. Some people like need that walk, and that is what puts them into this rhythm. And so for myself, like I know a friend years ago asked, like, Jas, when you're having a tough day, what's like the go-to thing that you do? And I remember saying to them, like, I get outside and I go for a walk. And I'm from Chicago, so living by the lake, having the abundance of that water and that representation.
Yeah.
But I think for myself, I always translate, like when you're able to move, you can see yourself through it. And I think that's why you hear, it sounds taboo to say movement is medicine, but it really is, because you don't stay in the thoughts, you don't stay in the space that's like you can't get out of. So there's times like you may feel like you're like you can't take a breath or anything, and there's so much life outside. And just if you are in a city, if you are in a suburb, wherever you are, it's like that breath of fresh air that you really do need. So I'm always encouraging people to, like, if they're dealing with a panic attack, if they're just like stressed at work, like take a walk, take a moment. You do not have to react instantly all the time.
Yeah. That is great advice. And, I always think about the example when you're on an airplane and, the oxygen mask drops, you take yours on first before you help other people. And it's such an important aspect that people forget about, how important their own mental health is if they're trying to help other people, other loved ones with their mental health. It's really important to keep yourself in check, and to, so that's why also getting outside for yourself. But I'm amazed at, how just walking can improve your relationships. It can improve your productivity. There's so many, and movement, all of that goes hand in hand. But it is really important, whether we think we need it or not. how much it does for us and that we can do for other people. And
Yeah, the
overall, I just
rewards
think
are
it affects our quality of
exponentially
life
greater.
for
Like
everyone.
you saying you took a walk today is never gonna make you
Yeah.
feel worse. You're never gonna feel more overwhelmed. You're never gonna be like, oh, I can't believe I'm late. Like you kind of rest in the moment. Like everyone's always driving and always late, but when you walk somewhere, you feel like, oh, I got there quicker than everyone else. So it's
And even if it didn't, it doesn't matter because you kind of enter that room with, oh, I walked here. You know, sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. You
yeah,
don't feel that
it's not.
anxiety and
I
that
don't love
stress that you
driving,
would
so
have if you were sitting in traffic
if
in a car.
anybody knows that about me.
So I would love for you to tell everyone like why you got started with your movement and mental health and moving and, you know, just let the audience know like what was that moment for you and how it's maybe
So
changed or not changed over the last
originally,
few
the
years for
I've
you.
always been interested in wellness, and I was a professional living a balanced life. But my brother committed suicide, and when there was this sadness that overcame us, there also was this place of peace that kind of helped my life, and that's why I called Hunni Duoe an ode to me because you know our loved ones, our friends, family, whomever, they help gift you the message that sometimes is hard to hear. Like you don't always have this crazy amount of time to do the things you say you want to do. And that's kind of how I looked at it when my brother passed. I thought to myself, like, do I want to wait to heal or do I want to take this endless journey to enjoy my healing, my story, and really work on myself, by myself, around other people? But it was this inward radiation that I really wanted to come out. I wanted to define beauty from an inward space. I wanted to define my health and wellness from an inward space. And that's who I am now to this day. Like I love social media. I love connecting with people, but it's always from an inward going outward. As you say, like even with the oxygen mask, like I've prayed to pour from an overflowing cup. I've stopped wanting to be able to help everyone and be able to first put me number one on my list, and then everybody else came. And then I could be the best version of Jas for me and say, like, today I am enough. And there's days that's hard. There's days that you're like, I could have done more. I wish I did more. And you just beat yourself up. But then you also remember you've been pouring into your own cup and you have an environment of people that know how to pour when you need it, and vice versa.
Right, right. So do you have, I know you're really strong on social media. And if people follow along with you, Jas, what is it that they can expect to get
My
from
biggest thing
you,
is like
you know,
living my
daily,
life and
weekly,
doing that
monthly?
happily and joyfully. I feel like we all have
Okay.
so much pressure to tell a
Yeah.
story or like design telling a story. And I love creating Hunni Duoe, creating my consulting business, like just being an everyday professional, being a Lululemon ambassador. You have to like be in the now. Yes, you set your goals and all those things, but I'm embracing like sharing who I am, my life, and as I grow, because that's all like I've known that that's what's worked out for me just in like business, profession, friendships, and everything. But I don't think that story is told enough. I think social media, a lot of times, as you even hear like people say, that's fake life and then this is real life. And for me, I was like, in real life, this is Jas Kirk, and then on Instagram and social media, it's the same Jas Kirk, and she aligns. And that's like,
Yeah.
I want to tell people that more often, like, be the same person.
So
It's okay.
I love that. And it's so honest. And I think the reason, I mean, I've seen it with my own kids and other kids their ages, is social media, you're looking at everyone is so perfect, and they have the perfect family photos, and they had the perfect vacation, and she is the perfect human being in the perfect clothes. And it is amazing that you're real, and people see that it's okay to be real and make mistakes or have a bad day as well as have a great day. It's all okay. And I love that you are able to share that, because it's very difficult. It's very vulnerable, and it's very difficult to be vulnerable like that, especially in front of thousands and
What
thousands
I
of other
want to
people.
share with people is
So thank you.
being in the mental wellness and mental health space, seeing the numbers substantially increase. And we look at things from this focused view of self, but when you really step back, kids are dealing with mental health issues pertaining to social media. People are associating likes with real likes in life. So it's where do you become gentle? You have to start being gentle with yourself. And I think we trailblaze in these arenas because it's we see it. We hold the conversations. You talk to kids, you talk to your family members. In the professional world, it's this is so real, and it's not the numbers are lowering or anything. They're getting higher. So you're yeah, people may want to hide it, but how do we start to say no, let's stop hiding it. Let's hold this conversation. Let's move forward in a positive direction, and really look at every single human being has a mental health issue. We all overthink. I don't care how successful you are. I don't care how poor you are. We all meet in the middle, because we all will overthink. We all will have an anxiety, a moment of an anxiety attack. And for some people, they recognize that's an anxiety attack, and others can't even fathom that's that. They're just I'm always like that. And you're that's not okay. There's ways. So for me, I'm as you know, with my brand, I try to address this in ways. If it is at a dinner party, if it is at a yoga event or a Pilates event or run club, I'm always translating how this mental wellness goes hand in hand with everything you're doing in life.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And after I lost my brother, I've never been the person in the room, whether that was in grade school, high school, or beyond, that had a voice. I don't know that I was a follower, but I certainly wasn't a leader on anything of importance. And after my brother died, I found my voice. And it really made me realize how important mental health really is. And I don't know that, and I can honestly say, here I am being honest, I don't know that I thought about it that much before, until I knew how much my brother suffered and how difficult it must have been for him. And I say must have been because he didn't share with any of us that he was having any issues. So we thought he was wonderful until he wasn't, and he wasn't here any longer. So I love the other thing
we're gonna high
that
five you.
I hit on, and I don't mean to high five myself, but and that we have both taken into account. And I'm seeing it again. I'm growing through this passion of mine, and this mission of mine, is that taking care of ourselves. It's okay, like you said, to put ourselves first, because we can't take care of anything. We can't take care of our job. We can't take care of our children, our spouse, our household, our lives, unless we have taken care of ourselves. So I agree with that. And that's kind of something I'm really standing up to this year. And that, get yourself out for a walk, do it for yourself. I hope that you'll grab a friend, because it is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I would love for everyone to get outside and take some time to get fresh air and be in nature. But if you can't find anyone to go out with you, that doesn't mean you get to stay home. I think it's such a great excuse to get yourself out there. And that doesn't mean that you don't have to listen to music or listen to a podcast. It's whatever it takes for you to kind of be in the mindset, and to also just know what you're doing for yourself, not only mentally, but physically as well, or vice versa.
I think that once you're out there, you walk, and even at like Michigan, when you finally get out there, you realize how many people are actually out there with you, that like walking, or just even if they're by themselves and you
Yeah.
pass people, and then it makes you open up to be like, hey, how are you? Or you like smile at someone, but it's still a little quirky and you're weird about it, but you're like, oh. So it's like you're never really alone. And I think that is the one thing, like go out, walk, have a
Yeah.
moment, encourage yourself, even if you have no one to walk with. Just like speak to one person you pass and say, hey, how are you? You know, and like mean it. And then you may like get
Yeah.
interaction or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like someone who can sit in any room and I'll talk to someone, but even outside I'll be walking and like people engage with me and I'm like, hello.
Yeah. Well, even if you don't, have a conversation, you may have made someone's day. You don't know what other people are going through. And, in all the things that I've learned about or studied over the last few years, like connection is the number one thing that is a tool that helps people get through their day or that moment or those weeks if they're dealing with some depression or anxiety. It's all about connection. So even like you said, if you're walking outside and you're by yourself and you give someone a smile or they give you a smile back,
Yeah.
you may have just done more for them than you can even realize. And it's really important. So, well, I'm going to get out a lot this month. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. And as some of you may know, I do a walk and talk challenge every May. And I may tag some of you out there to do the challenge with me. So I'll get out I'll get out every day, but I'm going to videotape myself once a week and talk a little bit about why I'm doing it and ask for some of you to join along. And I hope that you'll videotape yourself as you're walking outside, grab a friend or two or three, or if you don't have anyone to go with you, put someone on the phone who may be in another state who is somehow dealing or suffering from something. It's okay to grab a phone while you're outside walking as well. But I hope that all of you have been here tonight. Will join us on our Walk and Talk Challenge in May. And then Jas, I know that we are going to be walking together on Sunday, May 21st. You from Dallas, me from Chicago,
So
hand in hand with
wanted to connect
Lululemon.
with you guys still. Last year when we did this event, it was super special. The message resonated with so many people, and I never want to just do something in Chicago, so I'm always like, gotta do it in Dallas too. So in Dallas, this May 6th, we will walk and talk at Lululemon, Knox Henderson, and then on May 21st, you guys can see Amy and all of the other crew at the Lululemon Experiential in Lincoln Park. Well, they will walk the neighborhood and we'll walk the Katy Trail. So you guys can check in anytime, every day. I will be taking the challenge to really just share about mental health and wellness. And I'll be walking because I literally realize I walk every day. Like I love walking. And it's nice here. So it was like 75 here in Dallas today. Well, I think like 70, but I know you said it snowed. So I feel bad.
It's terrible. And I just got back. I was gone in Florida for the weekend. And I mean, it could be 3 days that I'm away from it. And I come back, I'm like, you gotta be kidding. Like, I think if I go days, it's magically gonna turn 80 again. But okay, we can get through it, Chicago. We've been through harder times and harder winters and worse weather. It doesn't need to stop us from getting outside and walking this month. So, Jas, thank you so much for doing this with me today and for all of your support under the same sky. I genuinely appreciate it. I love that I've been connected with you through our two losses, quite frankly. It's been really special for me. And everyone follow me, follow Jas this month as we will be out there walking and talking, and take a look at our feeds also. You're welcome to join in these events that we're having. Hers in Dallas on May 6th and with Under the Same Sky in Chicago on May 21st. It's open to the public, so check our feeds and please come and join us. All right, everyone, great month. And please DM, please reach out with any questions to either of us. We're here for you. All right, take care and have a great month. Bye.